All right. Hello, everyone. So thank you for tuning in again for another Authors Impact Hub podcast. We've been going really strong with our author Q&As. I'm your host, Juanita Woodson, founder of the Authors Impact Hub. So I've had the pleasure of talking to authors from all over the U.S. about their journeys. Today, I'm excited to bring an author on who's going to introduce himself really quickly here. But I had a chance to actually read his journal and start to use it myself. So I'm going to pass the floor over to you, Danny. If you can just introduce yourself, tell us where you're from, and what inspired you to write your book.
Yes, my name is Danny Barnes. I'm originally from Virginia, and I'm down in Georgia, South Carolina area right now because I'm in the military. But pretty much what inspired me to write the book originally was I was reading a lot of personal finance books at the time, and one of the authors, Ramit Sethi, he had a journal that was like a companion to his main book. So that was my original thing. And then shortly after that, my mom and I started having a conversation. We talk like every day. And she said she pretty much apologized for not passing down financial knowledge to me and my sister and things like that. And ever since then, I just kept going with the writing the journal. And that's pretty much my bigger inspiration right there is my mom.
Yeah, awesome. So if you can tell us what the title of your journal is.
Yes, it's called Why Not Us?
Why not us? Okay, so I know you just gave like a little bit of background about why you wrote the journal. So how did the title, right? Because if I read the title, I'm thinking that you could talk about a lot when you say why not us. So what
Yeah.
inspired you to come up with the title for the book?
So when you read a lot of those personal finance books, you don't feel like it's really speaking to you exactly. Because we're all out here dealing with the high gas prices, inflation, all sorts of stuff, right? So I felt like we needed a financial journal for the everyday person that they can use and they can feel like, okay, this is my stepping stone to kind of get to where those other people are kind of speaking at different levels are.
Yeah, okay. So what has your journey in like really identifying the importance of personal finance? What has your journey been like for you?
When I first joined the army, I did a lot of research on their savings plans, which is like our 401k. So I signed up for that. I had started saving in a regular savings account, which in hindsight, I'm like, well, I wasn't really earning any money. But ever since I've been married, I think the biggest struggle with being married and handling finances is the two different money mindsets you have in the relationship. So now that I'm into personal finance, I'm trying to save a little bit more and do different things. But my spouse is, she's different. She's like, you only live once, and she wants to have fun and things like that. So I think it's been hard lately. It was much easier when I was, single. So
Yeah. Okay, so how is it now coming together and combining, or how do you like speak to like the different type of mindsets and the importance of like saving?
Um, so for how it works for us is I have to make concessions. So whenever I do something, like I want to go 100% in and I want to, just do it. We can eat noodles for a certain time until we reach our goals. But
Oh,
I try to compromise and, say, hey, we may not be able to do this right now, but we can do this other thing right now. So she can still feel like she's a part of the process and we're not really just like living like hermits or anything like that.
yeah. Yeah, and I can imagine because as women, we have things that like are keeping our nails done, our hair, all those things. So, what are some practical tips then that you talk about in the journal that can help us? Because when we think about like some of the sacrifices that we have to make, we should think long term, right? Maybe I'm sacrificing this for 30 days, but in the long run, it's going to benefit me. So, what are some of the tips that you share?
So the first thing have everybody do would be to start with that budget. Pretty much, find out what you love to spend your money on versus what you like. The things that you kind of like to spend your money on, you can kind of let some of those go and
Okay.
put more money towards, what you love, like traveling, if you like buying clothes and things like that. Pretty much optimize your spending, so you can make more space for retirement and savings and things like that. And then the second thing I would have people do is debt management. If you have debt, it's taking up your cash flow.
Yeah.
So you could either do the debt avalanche or the snowball and definitely get those high interest, consumer debts out the way so you can really enjoy what you want to do in the long term.
Okay. Yes, I love that. So, and I think I've heard of the snowball process of eliminating debt. I haven't heard of the other one. How does so you said avalanche, how does that work?
So the avalanche method, you're starting with the highest interest debts first. So if you have like a 20% interest credit card, you do that one first, and then in descending order from there. Um, I personally didn't use that one. I like to pay something off, so I use a snowball, start something small, and I keep rolling. It motivates me more.
Yeah, I've done
So
that.
yeah,
Yeah. It feels like you're like knocking things out like quicker when you do the
yeah.
method. I love that. So you took your knowledge, all the things that you learned. So what was that moment that was like, hey, I want to take what I know and put it into a book and become a published author? When did it click for you to do that?
So whenever I learn something, I'm always like texting my brother or my friends or anybody and just, give them information. So I was like, well, instead of, piecemealing it for them, if I just give them a book with the
Yeah.
basic building blocks, they can kind of run through it themselves. And if they have questions, then they can reach out to me. They don't have to wait for me to text every maybe 3 weeks or so with something I found out.
Right. Yeah, I love that. So have you been able to take some of the principles in the book and like actually teach people like face to face and do some lessons that way?
Not yet. So I'm in tax class with Liberty Tax right now. That's twice a week. And then I started my master's in finance on Monday. So I think once I knock all that stuff out, I'll try to get out there and get some face to face time.
Okay, awesome. I know you said that you're in currently in the military,
Mhm.
right? So what is like your ultimate goal? So now you're an author, you're in the military, and then you're in school for finance. So it sounds like you're
Yeah.
wanting to go in this direction. So what's your like 5-year plan with your author brand and finance?
Uh, it's a little hard. I have 7 years left until I can actually retire out the military.
Yeah.
So definitely have to be a little bit more part time. But after that, I wouldn't mind actually volunteering and, helping like low income people with their finances, going to schools, transitioning service members, teaching and things like that. To just really get the financial knowledge out there. I wouldn't necessarily need the money. I just want to do it to actually help people.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm sitting here about the wheels in my head are always turning, and I'm wondering it's because as authors, when you're building a brand, you think about like the marketing, right? The marketing
Mm.
budget that you need to have, and just thinking about how you may be able to be a resource to authors to like strategize their marketing budget. So that's something that we can chat about because I think that it would be beneficial. So many authors like, I don't have the money to do this. But with proper planning, you'll see that, okay, if I
Mm.
sacrifice a few things, then I'll be able to, to see the reward at the end of it. Yes. So we have to definitely do that.
Sure.
Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about because when we think about us, like African American
Yes.
people not having the knowledge, right? So what is something that parents can do now to start to help their kids learn personal finance at a young age?
So something my wife and I do, we got an app called Greenlight. It gives children their own debit card. They can
Yeah.
invest on there, and it has like an educational section that they can go through. It's pretty much at their level. So it's about maybe $9.99 a month for like things like the lowest premium package you can get that contains all of that. So based on the price and the return on investment that you can get from teaching your kids with that app, that's something I would do. We took my son to the store the other day, like, hey, you only have this much money on this card. What can you afford? So
Yeah.
based on that, he knows, what he can get, he can't get. He knows when he gets paid. That's like every week for them and stuff like that. So we're kind of getting them into like, the real world where you have to go to work and actually you have to do work to get paid and things like that. So I do something like that. Another thing I would say is that I know growing up, parents would be like, hey, dealing paying bills, that's grown folks' business, right? Get away from the table. That's none of your business. I think we have to be more open to teaching our kids, which bills we're paying. So when they get in the real world, they're like, they don't just think the lights turn on and nothing else is happening.
That's true.
So I think those two things, the app, by giving them like an actual debit card that's in their name, they got their own PIN, and then
Mhm.
bringing them into the bill paying process would be very helpful.
Yeah, so just like more transparency in
Yes.
bill paying process. Okay, I'm thinking about how that like how I can maybe implement. My son is 16, so we like got to get on it now as far as he definitely knows how money works, right? They know when we get paid, all of those things. So yeah, I want to make sure personally that that we pass down some of the things that we know now that we didn't know when we were younger, especially because inflation is real, right? Things are tough for a lot of people. So how do you navigate the space, right? When things are like a little bit more expensive, how does that work? How do you still stay above water? What's like a practical tip you can give to somebody?
Um, I say it's always this, the tried and true. Live within your means, to be honest. Um, if things get a little bit more expensive, there's always alternatives out there. I'm not saying to buy like the cheapest thing that you don't really like, but it always goes back to that budget and optimizing your spending. Sometimes you may have to take something else out to, put that thing in to keep what you want. But just always live within your means. Don't try to go higher than that. It's not worth it.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. So what's like if there's a challenge that you faced when it came to creating your journal and then publishing your journal, what was one challenge that you faced and then how did you overcome that challenge?
Um, marketing, marketing,
Okay.
marketing. I'll say marketing was my biggest problem. The writing process wasn't as hard for me because I used to write, when I was in grade school and things like that. But I felt like whenever you write a book, I just felt like it was going to sell itself.
Mm,
So I wish I would have started the marketing probably when I first started writing the book to kind of build up that suspense and getting people to actually want to read it. So that's what I'm doing now, overcoming that challenge in marketing, trying to figure it out.
okay. Yeah, definitely. And that's what our community is here for, right? To be able to support authors who are like, okay, I wrote the book. What do I do next? So you already know who your target audience is. So
Mhm.
that's perfect. Now it's just getting you in front of your audience. So sharing those tips, they're very helpful, right? That's something that everybody they need those tips to be able to not just have money in your pocket until your next payday for 5, 10 years from now, creating that generational wealth and legacy. So I think that's really important. And the message, right? The journal. So I went through the journal. So I need to make sure that I go back. There's certain things that I need to fill in myself, but it breaks it down in such like anybody can understand it. So I do appreciate that you made it so that it's understandable to someone's like, I have no idea where to start. If you pick up a copy of it, you'll be able to reach the goals that you set. So do you have any other aspirations of writing any other personal finance books or journals?
Not right now. I've been working on my blog, my personal finance blog, so I'm trying to get that more mainstream.
Okay. And how can we read the blog?
It's on Substack.com. It's called Wealth Generation Agency, and I post weekly. It's usually Wednesdays, and if you have like a financial or non-financial accomplishment, I also shout people out there to kind of shine a light on 'em.
Yes. Okay. I love that. So this is like I always love these conversations, especially when we can learn something, right? This is something that we all need. So I'm excited to see your journey as an author and how many lives that you touch because like I said, this is something that we all need. So what do you hope readers gain from completing your journal? Not just reading it, but completing it.
I'd say I'd hope they're able to build a solid financial literacy foundation. Based on that, I hope they can determine what financial freedom looks like for them, and then achieve that financial freedom so they can live their best life.
Yes, awesome. I definitely appreciate this conversation. So, if you can share with us how we can connect with you on social media and then how we can get a copy of the journal.
Yes. So on Instagram and Twitter, my handle is at Wealth Sleuth, SLEU, oh, SLU. However you feel sleuth, I don't know. But it's at Wealth Sleuth on Instagram and Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn, Danny Barnes. You can find my book on Amazon.com, Why Not Us by Danny Barnes. And you can also find it on my blog under the little shop tab.
Okay, awesome. So, I always end the show with one final question, and that is what impact do you want your book and your brand to leave on the world?
I hope to break generational curses of not passing financial knowledge down to the younger generation, and I hope anybody can pick it up when no matter where they are in their financial situation and course correct, get on the right path.
Yes, awesome. Well, I definitely appreciate this conversation. I'll definitely go and grab a copy of the journal. We're getting ready to go into a new year, right? So this is the time where people are establishing their budgets for 2025, personal goals. So you want to make sure that you add your personal finance to your 2025 goals. So go and grab a copy. Thank you so much, Danny, for taking some time out to join us. And it won't be the last time. We'll make sure that we bring you back to the community to share all of this knowledge that you do have.
Alrighty, appreciate you having me.
Yes, definitely. As always, listeners, make sure that you like, subscribe, share, and leave a comment. Let us know something that you learned from listening to that episode, and then stay tuned for the next one. Take care.